Welcome back to the channel. This your boy Mr. GoodBuds, and we back with a brand new type of video. We're gonna be doing a podcast style topic video, and it's gonna be our first one, our trial run. So basically, what we're gonna be able to do in this type of segment is you're gonna be able to go over to Discord. You can go over to the podcast topics and actually drop your topics, and at the end on Discord, you'll be able to listen in to this recording while I'm recording it live on Discord. And if you listen in all the way to the end, you could always ask questions. I'm gonna take questions. You'll be able to talk to me live, and it'll actually be recorded into the video. So that's gonna be awesome. So I'm really excited to get into this first segment. First, we're gonna be talking about my feeding schedule. A lot of people ask a lot of questions about how I feed. So this is not gonna be a perfect how to feed your plants. But more as a how I do it is just to help you guys understand it a little better, because I know I don't explain it that well during normal videos. So appreciate y'all for joining me once again. Before we get started, quick word from our sponsor, Mars Hydro. Yes, sir. Mars Hydro has everything you need to get you going. They got lights, they got tents, and they even got inline fans to help with that exhaust. We got bar style lights and we got quantum board style lights. Mars Hydro has everything that you need to get you going and have you a successful grow. Everything that they has the perfect amount of power, perfect amount of light penetration to the tent. Everything that you need to get you going, man. I'm telling you, make sure you holler at Mars Hydro. Go on Amazon and you can look at everything that they have, and they have a beautiful store on Amazon. And make sure when you go there, you use the code Mr. GoodBuds, and that's gonna give you a nice discount on everything that you want. Anything that's Mars Hydro, Mr. GoodBuds. Make sure you type that in, man. All right, so let's get started. So like I said, we're gonna be talking about how I like to feed my plants. And as y'all know, I like to use down-to-earth dry nutrients. So I'm going to try my best to break down exactly in a simple form what I do and how I do it. And in order to do that, we're going to have to start off with explaining what NPK is. Alright? So first, every nutrient that you get is going to have these three numbers at the top. This stands for N, which is nitrogen. The middle one is P for phosphorus, and the last one is K for potassium. And so there has to be a guaranteed analysis on whatever you're using that's going to have this on it. Now, it's even dry nutrients and liquid nutrients are all going to have this. Now, what you need to know, what's important, is when you need these. So, which makes it very simple. Number one, nitrogen. You need that during veg. Nitrogen is what's going to help those plants create new leaves, create new foliage and vegetation. Help grow those stems, and all of that stuff is all going to be determined based on nitrogen. That's all you're going to need in veg. This is what's going to help those plants go crazy in veg. The second one is phosphorus. Phosphorus is what you need during flower. Flower, that's what helps create those buds, grow those strong buds, and it also helps make those buds stack. And also what helps with that is close internodal spacing and stuff. But besides that, when we talk about nutrients, phosphorus is what's going to make those buds grow. Now, the last thing is potassium. I don't know if y'all know that I've talked about potassium a lot. Potassium is good for veg and flower. Potassium is what's going to help. It strengthens their immune system. It helps to build stronger cells, creating stronger cell walls, creating stronger stems, greener, stronger leaves. The entire strength of the plant is based on that phosphorus. On that potassium. And so, what we have here is the veg nutrients that I like to use. I'm sorry. People want to call you when I finally decided to record. I done waited like 15 minutes to start recording, and now people want to call me. So using down to earth nutrients, this is what I use. Now, before we get into what I use for veg, we have to explain something else. Now, when you're using soil, this is a lot of people ask me about with the soil. I do use soil that has nutrients already built inside of it. Soils always come usually with vegetative nutrients inside of them, which is going to be good for at least 30 days. So when I use that Roots organic dirt, that dirt, when I transplant, that dirt is good for that plant for 30 days. I won't top dress again for 30 days. Now, depending whether I'm going to go into flower or not will depend on whether I top dress with vegetative nutrients or not. And I recently started using what's called Pro Mix. Now, Pro Mix is really great. Pro Mix is cocoa coir, perlite, and peat moss with no nutrients. So it's basically stripped base dirt base mix. And this is really good for that. So I would use 4 tablespoons of this per gallon of medium and mix it in with that Pro Mix. And that's going to create pretty much the exact same thing that I use with the Roots Organic, but a lot cheaper. You guys are going to start seeing me do that in upcoming videos in the future. So stay tuned for that, because that's been really awesome and is a lot cheaper. Talk about what I use for veg. So I use this vegetative garden nutrients for veg. Now, even though you want nitrogen, I do still like to have some phosphorus and of course some potassium. Now, what you're gonna find with these down to earth nutrients is that a lot of them don't have any phosphorus, potassium. This is gonna be hard using these words. Potassium. A lot of the down to earth don't have the final number. It's usually 0. So I'll talk about that at the end of the video with the potassium. But I use this 444. Now, this 444 contains 4 in nitrogen, 4 in potassium, and 4 in phosphorus. And I said it backwards again. That's perfect for vegetative growth. I have had wonderful success using just this vegetative garden, vegetable garden nutrient, and it is a mixture for down to earth nutrients. And this is all I use. Now, if I was using that dirt and after that 30 days that medium had went dry and it was going to need more nutrients, I would have used 2 tablespoons per gallon of this vegetable. God damn, I sound like Porky the Pig. Vegetable garden nutrients. I'm a little nervous too. This is the first time I've done something like this, so y'all gotta bear with me too, man. This podcast style stuff. Besides with Mr. Grower, that was the first time doing that, so I'm gonna be stuttering a little bit, man. Y'all gotta bear with me. But this has been great. So now, after 30 days, and after you top dress, it's also good for 30 days. And so, however long you're gonna have those plants in vegetative state, or under 18 hours of light and 6 off, then you're going to refill that 2 tablespoons per gallon of that vegetable garden 444 every 30 days. All right. So now the next thing is flour. Now, I don't have what I use for flour. I have one of the things I use, but one of the things I actually ran out of because I use a lot more of it a lot more often. That's because my plants go into flour a lot more often than when I'm using just base vegetative nutrients. And what I like to use, no matter what day I start flowering, the very first day I decide to flip the flower, I will feed them 484, and that's the rose and flower by Down to Earth. So it's the exact same thing as this, but that middle number right here turns into an 8. And that's because I like to give them a boost in potassium. Wait, phosphorus. This is going to be an issue. I like to give them a boost of phosphorus right in the beginning of flower. And as they go into, during those first 2 weeks, they will be going through that stretching phase. And that stretching phase is heavily based on veg nutrients. So you definitely going to still need that nitrogen, which is why I love Down to Earth's 484, because it has nitrogen, it has a boost of phosphorus, and it still has 4 in potassium. And those plants are going to be great on that for the first 4 weeks or 30 days. Now, I like to go like 28 days, and on that 28th day, we go ahead and hit them with the mix. Now, this is what basically this video is mostly about. Is y'all, a lot of people ask, how do I mix this 315-0 bone meal with the 484 halfway through flour? Now, no matter what, I'm still using 2 tablespoons per gallon of nutrients, right? So when I use 484, now let's say we got 5-gallon pots, right? So we want to do 2 tablespoons per gallon to top dress that plant and get it through the rest of flour. So the 2 tablespoons per gallon for a 5-gallon pot is going to be 10 tablespoons. So what I do is I take I take 75% of the 484 and I do 25% of this bone meal. And what that means is that it's still getting the same amount of nutrients, 2 tablespoons per gallon. But in that 10 tablespoons, it gets 7.5 tablespoons of the 484, and then it gets 2.5 tablespoons of the bone meal. That's 75 and 25%, which makes 100% of the 10 tablespoons. Now, if you're using different types of pots, different size pots, then that is going to vary. It's going to be a difference whether you're using a 17 gallon, I mean, not 17 gallon, but like a 15 gallon. Do you know 2 tablespoons per gallon is going to be 30 tablespoons? And then you're going to have to do the math. What's 75% of 30 and what's the other 25% of 30? And so I hope I explained that good. That's what I do. And when I do that, I'm telling you, the plants finish strong. This bone meal has a serious boost, 15 in phosphorus, and that helps to finish out those plants. And those plants also like to have a assortment of nutrients. So that's very important too, having that different assortment so that when those microbes break those things down, they have different things to feast on. It's kind of like a buffet. You don't want to feed your plants the same exact thing the entire time. And so I try to switch it up just a little bit by giving them that boost at that 15, and they still getting the 484 rose and flower. Now that's rose and flower. That stuff is linked in the description down below. All right. And so next, what we're gonna talk about is recharge. Now a lot of people ask me about the recharge. Everybody knows Scotty Real. You know what I'm saying? He make his people makes the recharge. So this stuff right here is not a nutrient. This is a micro boost, which basically it feeds microbes into your soil. The microbes is what break down those nutrients and feed them to your plants. If you look on the back of this, there's millions of different funguses and bacteria that make up the micro pack or micro boost pack that you're putting into the soil. Now, this stuff works well. I don't know if you can see on there, it says they guarantee healthier plants in 48 hours. It's hard to see that because I got the camera on manual focus. This stuff really helps, and I haven't used it as much with liquid nutrients, but this in combination with the dry nutrients and breaking down those dry nutrients is heaven sent. This is all I need, and I get wonderful results. And now this, I do 1 teaspoon per gallon of water. So 1 teaspoon per gallon of water, the water that I'm giving them. And I do that at least once a week. Now I may be more lax about it during veg, but it's very important that they get it every single week during flower. And I find that I get really dense buds that way because those nutrients are broken down and fed, and it also helps to balance the pH in the soil as well. So with the recharge, like I said, I use that once a week, and it really helps out a lot with the dry nutrients. Now recharge, I'm not swearing by recharge that it's the best micro pack that there is. They are pretty much the same. I actually went from using Roots Organic Organism XL, which is pretty much the exact same thing, but the difference in the Organism XL is that it gets really hard and it clumps together over time. So it doesn't last very long when it gets really clumped together, and it's hard to break it down. It's really dirty, and it turns everything black. So the recharge doesn't do that. Raw Nutrients carries a micro pack too that I've heard really great things about. So if you want to try that out, just make sure you get you a good micro booster. And speaking of raw nutrients, the last thing that we're going to talk about is the recharge. I said recharge. I'm so stupid. The raw potassium. Now, like I was saying, potassium is really important in strengthening and making sure those plants are strong, having strong cell walls and strong structure. Like when you see a plant and it has those branches and they start to hang over. Now sometimes that's cool when you got those super dense buds, but if you only in week 3 or 4 and your branches is hanging over because they can't support the weight of the buds, then what are they gonna do in week 7 and 8? That's when this comes in. This potassium helps to strengthen those stems. It helps put on weight. It helps to pack those buds on. It helps the plant to build immunities to sicknesses and diseases as well. So this stuff is very, very important, and no matter what, I give them. Now this stuff is so concentrated, you only need 1/8 of a teaspoon per gallon of water, and so I don't even measure that. I just sprinkle some in there, and it works wonders. It's extremely powerful, and so I give this to the girls at least every other week. With some plants that use a lot of potassium, we give them that every week. And we give them this, and it dissolves right into the water. It's completely water soluble. I don't know where it says that at. Somewhere on this bag it says this stuff is completely water soluble. So that's basically everything. That's everything that I do to feed my plants. And now a thing about me and the way that I feed my plants is that I try my best to give all my plants the exact same thing, which does not always work with all plants and strains and phenols. Sometimes you will not be able to give all your plants the exact same nutrient schedule, regimen, and rundown, and they're not going to like it. The reason that I try my best to do that is because I have a lot going on, and I like my grow to be simple. So I look for phenols and genetics that grow good based on that segment of what I just explained to you guys. I had plants that don't work well with that, which is why, like I said, this is not the perfect solution to how you should feed your plants. This is just to explain how I feed my plants and what works good for me. And I like it. I like plants that work good based on that because that's very simple and easy for me. And so I'm normally only giving my girls plain pH water. And I didn't mention that either, but I do pH my water from 6.5 to 6.8. So that's what the plants get. Except for when I use recharge, I do not pH the water. I didn't mention that either. No pH in the water for the recharge at all. And that's pretty much it. And I see ain't nobody joined us, but once again, I'm going to show you guys. You guys can, in the future, I'm going to try to make sure these things are all done at the exact same time each month so that you guys can expect this and know when to get down. But you can ask questions. You can see that the podcast subjects is right here down below. If I pick up my phone right here, and you'll see how fast it is. If you go over to Discord, go over to that channel, and you can submit questions there, and I'll answer those as well. And as you can see, when I send, they come up extremely fast. So that's there. So you can ask questions that way, or you can wait to the end and actually jump into the conversation and listen in on this as it's recording live. Man, at the end, as you can see, you see my logo up there at the top as well. You'll see you guys' logo pop up here as well. And when I'm talking, it turns green, and you see all that stuff. So you guys keep your mic muted throughout the whole thing. But like right now, if I wanted to take some questions, you can unmute your mic, and then you can actually speak with me. And it's gonna be pretty cool to actually get these podcasts going, and to actually have this integration with Discord, because I'm really loving the Discord family and really appreciate all you guys do as well. So it's gonna be really cool to have these videos with this Discord integration. But appreciate y'all for joining me for the first segment of the podcast. Make sure you comment down below, you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and you holler at that Patreon, man. It's your boy Mr. GoodBuds, man. We out.